guys? Hades here. Today, I want to deep dive into Open Arena. Now, you might notice this isn't my main account. This is an alt I have, and I would say at the start of the season, always use an alt. You can see here, season started a day ago. I actually haven't picked my setup for my main account yet, and the reason being is there is so much possibilities that you don't want to rush into something bad and be stuck with a bunch of bad heroes. So what I highly suggest is using an alt account first to test and scout competition first, then 1 or 2 days later make what you think will be valuable in the meta on your main account. You can easily catch up. I got top 200 without using any bonus tickets. I never paid for a single gem ticket on my main account. You can just hit the middle every day 5 times and you'll get the accounts. Now, I want this video to be a really in-depth guide about how to actually perform in Open Arena. And it's going to go very deep into a lot of understanding of what needs to happen in just creating a good solid march and countering metas. Now, the first and most important thing you need to do every season is look at the immortal restrictions. Now, this is locked in all season. You can never use Hannibal. You can never use Hippolyta. You can never use any of these characters. Now, what do you need to look for? What you need to look for are the meta characters in Holy and Shadow. Now, I immediately noticed Theodora is not here. Elizabeth is not here. And Kubal Khan not there for Holy. Now, and as well as Tomeris. So, Shadow is without Elizabeth and Tomeris, and Holy is without Theodora and Kubal Khan. Now, Kubal's not super integral. You really need Menko, but Theodora is the best healer besides Fufei in the game, and so you need the healer to really make Holy work at its optimal. So without Theodora, my value in Holy drops dramatically. Now, Elizabeth is not the carry in Shadow. It is mostly Himiko. Tomeris has been a solid plan in Shadow, but the meta for Shadow has really been Fufei plus Himiko, and the rest kind of doesn't matter. So nothing in Shadow really got touched, and kind of the main backbone of Holy got touched. So a lot of people are naturally going to shift towards Shadow, and I'm going to show you that real quick. In the early meta, you can go to rankings, and you can see here, attributes. Almost everyone is using Shadow. Now, can you use Holy? Absolutely. I'm going to talk about a few ways you can use Holy. But the majority of people lean on the meta, and they like to copy who has the best. And you'll see Shadow, Fire, Thunder, and Shadow, Water, Fire is pretty much the most common. And then a few people dabble in Earth and Wind. And then we usually have some of the same players always near or at the top with Shadow, Fire, and Thunder. Now, what you need to do is you need to make a decent team. The team kind of doesn't matter. It's a great time to experiment. Do some things that you're a little bit comfortable with. You don't want to go crazy off the rail. Make something sort of meta. Double carries with a front assist. I personally love Poseidon, so I wanted to try a little bit of a wind combination. And then I have a kind of a backbone of a Shadow. And again, you can kind of see that secondary Shadow missing here. So this is something you're going to want to think about. Fufei is pretty much the best option. It's been determined for a few seasons now. You can use Loki, and you can think about other mortals you like in the back row slot. I picked Wind and Fire, and the only real carry I have left and decent support is Baldwin, so I'm just going to throw him in there, whether I need him or not. But what's here is not super important. What you need to truly look at is your reports after a day, right? You're going to get hit a few times when you reach the top 100, and you're going to attack a few people when you reach the top 100. And as you can see here, through the last day, I've gotten many defenses and offenses, and quite a few wins and quite a few losses, and that's okay. I'm experimenting, but what you're going to see is a common theme. I'm going to start showing you some of these. The first is almost everyone has a Fire with a Sandyot carry using Unyielding and Death Breath. That combo is very well known. It's something that won IB League, that was very meta, Everyone knows this. And this is something that dominated previous seasons. Is Himiko with the Fu Fei on the side with a Tutankhamun carry. And this just does so much damage. Every fight looks a little bit like this. Tutankhamun does about 70% of the damage, and then Himiko kind of comes up with the rest of the damage. And you can see here, when you add the healer, this team really just becomes kind of nuts, and Tutankhamun really pops off. And we're going to look through a few, and you're going to see that this is the common theme. Almost every Shadow player is using this combination in some way, shape, or form, with different skills here or there. And something will emerge that comes out victorious, and everyone ends up copying the skills. But what's important is not missing the elemental meta. You can always change the skills. Now, here's the second thing to think about, is the skill restriction. Now, the active bans are here. We have Spring of Life, Blade Vortex, Heavy Lifter, and Coercive Power. Now, are these good? Are these bad? Well, if you've been watching me for a while, you've known that I've come up with some tier lists. And this is a tier list I made that's going to be very helpful for us. Now, it has a ton of information, and this does not directly translate to the open arena, but it's going to give us really great context. And you're going to go, wow, Spring of Life is here. And a few other very important things are in this top kind of echelon of, skills. Blade Vortex is also here. And we're going to go, okay, well, healing teams are a little bit nerfed because there's no Spring, and the physical carries aren't at their optimal without Blade Vortex. Someone like Tutankhamun really benefits from Blade Vortex in a meta like this. But then we have to think about, okay, well, on 627, the meta's going to change again. And a more very, very solid skills, No Escape, probably one of the strongest skills in the game, is going to be gone. And so is this Energy Shield, another extremely powerful skill. So we're going to have to think, well, I need to find a strong team now that doesn't have Coercive. I can't put that on my Syndiok. I can't use Blade Vortex on my Tutankhamun, and I can't put healing on my Fu Fei. Does it still work, right? And this is where you need to find the meta on your server. Every server is going to be a little bit different. Now, looking through the reports just a little bit more, I tried my little creative build a few times, and I had a little bit of success, right? I'm going with a Poseidon. I'm ramping quickly with Adrenaline Rush and with Matilda. I have a little bit of control with the web, and I'm going with a guard on my tank. And boom, my Poseidon is carrying. And that's kind of what I want to see, because I'm fighting very close to Meta March. I wish this player had chosen the Shadow Dragon, would have made it a little bit more difficult for me. But moving on. You have to think about every little detail. Once you get your core, let's just say you say Shadow, Fire, and Thunder are best. They've kind of been the best for a long time, and you can see that here in the rankings. The top players consistently use these. And you can see some of these players are implementing these strategies. Oba KDVR 3 and 2, he's using slightly different setups, and he's testing the waters before he pushes his main up into the top percentages. Now, a few more details, because this really is an extensive guide. When you're looking at your dragons, the ones you're using need to be updated. So you can see here, I'm not using Thunder Dragon, so I did not give it its talent, right? But I am using the Wind Dragon, so I do want its talent. Now, the talents are usually pretty straightforward. If you don't know what you're doing, I would almost always click the left one. However, a few important details. If you're using Holy, I highly, highly recommend this middle one. This is probably one of the best differentiations that you can have. This increased defense as you lose HP is extremely strong and something you want to have, but absolutely make sure you're not missing out on these little boosts. As you can see in one of my reports, I believe it was this one. Yes, this player did not upgrade their skills, and you can see that by the 10, 10, 10, and mine says 1, 1, 10. And this means I upgraded my skill, and this player on the opposing team did not update their skill. Now, what are some more details you need to know to be successful? Okay, I don't want this to be a video where you just like copy, here's the meta. I want to actually teach so people can learn, because the skills and the immortals are constantly changing. Now, fire is always a staple. If Seondeok's there, you're going to want unyielding with coercive. Of course, coercive is banned right now, so you're going to have to find a niche kind of third option. Death Breath procs it very well, but you have to find another option here. I'm trying out Ambush a little bit, and we'll see what happens. Now, for my core team, well, the core team needs the best skills, right? The first one being No Escape. You need No Escape. You need a serious carry, right? These are 3 very strong, fluid skills that match with Poseidon's strengths. Executioner, he's one of the best proccers in the game of it. I'm having him scale, and I'm getting him to start ulting quickly to deny any shields. And then you're going to want to guard your carry. The guard is going to guard this way. And then I'm going to have, in my fire, I have assist, who's assisting backline carries. And then I'm going to round it out with a solid shadow team. I'm kind of got the Void Realm battle stance, let my Tutankhamun build up, because I already have most of the normal skills on Poseidon. Also, Executioner works really well with Blade Vortex, but Blade Vortex is not available for a while. It's a banned skill, so we have to think of ways around that. Now, I do want to dive into some of my results and even try a few players, because I updated my skills just a little bit. See what we do. Defeat, that's okay. The main important thing is figure out why you lost, right? So we have this water team with the shadow. Very interesting. It actually countered me quite hard. 18 million for Merlin. I wonder if this is their main team or what they did here. This is a very interesting March. Not a fan of Executioner here. I don't think that did any damage. Yep, no damage. Interesting. Surprised that that's a loss. I'd have to analyze that one much deeper. I kind of got destroyed. Fire versus wind. I mean, pretty much everyone uses fire, so having your wind as a main is kind of a bad option. Something to consider as you play, right? If everyone's using fire, you're not going to want to play wind, because their fire dragon's just going to do that much extra damage. 7 mil is a lot of damage. I actually want to watch this real quick, because fire versus wind is something that's an element advantage, something to definitely think about. If everyone is using fire thunder, well, you might want to use the counters, right? If everyone's using fire, water becomes so much more valuable. You can see the huge damage on the fire dragon here. My Poseidon is full HP, and then he gets crit to death right there and stunned because of the Cyrus and the Seondeok combination, and I just get wiped off the board. I have no Malice. That would be something, if I really was a wind lover, I would want to keep Malice on the team to kind of deny the fire teams, but I'm already being countered, and it's just not a good look in general. Now, I want to wrap this up and kind of highlight a few important things. First, new season, use an alt. Test the waters before you make your decision, because you cannot go back on your decision. Second, you need to look at the banned immortals and the skill restrictions for the time frames on this period. Third, be very mindful of your reports. Reports are a big factor. Why did I lose? How did I lose? Or why did I win? And what can I do to counter the meta? Then I would say on the second or third day, you're going to need to make a final decision on your main account and then start hitting the top player, you should get some very, very easy wins and make your way into the top 200 with relative ease. And of course, worst case scenario, as I've said in many other videos, just hit the middle one 5 times a day. It's free, you never lose, the bots are terrible. But if you guys like these long kind of videos that really dive into how to play the game at the highest level, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.